Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. I'm your host Millie here with how do I pronounce your name?
T Spice.
T Spice. Here with T Spice in the building. Tell the people a little about yourself, a little about who you are, where you come from, etc.
For sure. First off, thank you for having me on the podcast. I'm
Most
honored to
definitely.
be here and have this conversation with you, and for the opportunity, kind of spread the message, connect to more people, more individuals, in different, type of walks of life. I am Coach T Spice. My name is Talmadge Spicer. I am a mindset coach on a mission to inspire and empower 1 million people to live by design instead of by default, which a lot of us find ourselves falling into, and I know we hate it. So the way that I do that is by speaking. I'm an author. I wrote a book called "Have the Guts to Follow Your Guts: Why Playing It Safe is the Biggest Risk of All." And I'm a coach. I've coached so many people, over 100 hours of coaching hours under my
Wow.
belt, and so many transformations. I just fully believe that I'm doing the most meaningful and purposeful thing that I could be doing with my life.
Most
So I'm,
definitely.
I'm happy to be building with you.
For sure. Jack of all trades.
You feel me?
Man, it's doing it all out here. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Now I get that. But so would you say this is your passion? This is your calling, what you would say?
Yep, my purpose.
Mm-hmm.
If without this, I'd be lost.
Mm-hmm.
For
Man, that's
sure.
amazing. That's amazing. Helping people.
Yeah, they say that when you find the thing that you would do for free, that's the thing that you
Mm-hmm.
want to do, and the crossover between making an impact and being able to make an income and kind of live for a living is just undeniable, bro. Like it's a no-brainer. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you can help people in their life, you can change their mindset and free them up to kind of go after everything that's on their heart and on their spirit and on their soul, and you could get paid to do it because we live in a capitalist society.
Mm-hmm.
Bills got to get paid, and if you want to take a trip, you want to do this, you want to do that, you want to provide for your family, you're going to need those funds, you're going to need those
Most definitely.
resources. It's just amazing that my survival can rely on how valuable and how helpful I can be to somebody else.
Mm-hmm. So would you tell people who are looking to get out of their job? Because a lot of people don't enjoy what they're doing. A lot of people are just doing it just for the check. Would you encourage them to start chasing their dream and venture out and start actually getting into what you truly want to do?
1,000%, 1,000%. One of the things that I love to stand on is there's this idea that you should get out of your job and into your dream. But my first piece of advice is kind of counterintuitive, and I know anybody that's in that situation right now is about to hate me for
Yeah.
saying this. But the first thing to do to get out of your job is to figure out how to love it. To find all of the resources that they are giving you that's going to enable you to eventually leave it.
Mm,
Because the more time we spend actually hating our job and waking up like, oh my God, I don't want to go into this place, and just
mm-hmm.
being mad and pissed off there, keeps us there longer, right? Because we're
Mm-hmm.
resisting it, and what you resist will persist.
Mm,
So if you can find a way to appreciate, okay, I'm glad I'm at least getting a paycheck, I'm at least making some income, that sets you up for the next step. Is like, okay, what am I going to do with this money? How can I make this money make the biggest impact in my life? What's the smartest decision, instead of just completely forgetting the fact that you have an opportunity to invest in yourself because you're
most
so
definitely.
focused on hating your job. If you found a way to be grateful, one of the first things that I did to kind of break out of that cycle, that hometown mentality, was to just write down 10 things I was grateful for every day. And I was miserable at the time, but I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
yo, something's got to give.
Yeah.
So that's something that I would say, if you are in that position and you want to start moving towards getting out of your job and into your dream, is to find gratitude for
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Most definitely. But I also feel like when you're taking up that bad energy it takes a lot out of you. Like regardless, like it's energy and it's coming and you're gonna be drained. And I just feel like it takes so much more to have bad energy than good energy. That's how I feel personally.
I think so.
And to hold that, especially for the whole time you're there, 7 hours you at that job.
Right.
Now you're gonna get out of that job, you still gonna feel like that. Like it's gonna just switch. You know what I
Right.
mean?
It becomes who you are, bro. Like
For
that, and I
sure.
think that's one of the biggest lessons that I learned. Like we were just talking before we hit record. I had moved to Idaho, right? And I moved to Idaho with this idea that, okay, positive thinking is important, is
Mhm.
powerful, but I didn't really fully understand it. So what I did was I would wait until things got crazy, things got wild negative, and I'm like, okay, now think positive, think positive, think positive. And it was always too little, too late.
Mm-hmm.
So what I learned was that it's not enough to just think positive or just to have it in your tool belt. Like, you have to practice it. Like, it has to become a part of your identity. And the more you practice, the more it becomes, a part of who you are, and the less effort and energy you need to put in to get there. But a lot of us are programmed to automatically think negatively because us as human beings, we'd rather avoid pain than
Mm-hmm.
seek pleasure. We'd rather avoid being taken advantage of, and we put all our energy into that. But we're not playing to win. We're just playing not to lose.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And we don't
Mm.
realize how that compounds on itself, and it just creates its own whole thing. And eventually it just overtakes you. And it's
Mm-hmm.
so hard to change that, as you get older.
Most definitely. And that's why I even see people when you say, I like what you said when you said we don't play to win, we play not to lose.
Right.
That's so true, and I feel like I see that every day with people who get stuck in the same job or the same cycle, and they just get in this rat race, and they just hate their life, and that's the whole
Yeah.
roar. That's the energy. That's what you're around.
Yeah. Breaks my heart, bro.
No, most definitely.
Yeah.
But I seen you talking about like on the topic of energy. You're talking about self love
Hmm.
and like getting rid of the liabilities and bringing in the assets.
Yeah.
Feel like that's super hard, especially for people pleasers, because I feel like the people around you can be liabilities extreme.
Right. Right. And I did make a video on that, and I try to avoid, this idea that just because I can understand it, or we can see it, or that that's what you need to do, that makes it, easy. It might make it a little bit easier. At least you're not lost in the sauce trying to figure out what the hell is going on. So it's helpful,
Mhm,
but actually executing, especially consistently, takes transformation from the inside out. Like, we can't really be trying to half-ass this for real. Like, we
mhm,
have to go from the toes to the dome and really ask ourselves some really important questions, like, what do I want out of life?
mhm,
What are the things that are helping me get there? What are the things that kind of holding me back? And what can I do to start aligning the things that I'm entertaining in my life with the goal that I'm looking to achieve? Once we get to that point, it's a whole nother hurdle to actually execute and say, hey, such and such person, I get it. You're on this wave, you're partying every day, you're drinking too much
mhm,
for me. Love you like I love you. But I think that and this is kind of a separate idea that I'm meshing into this one, is that love, unconditional love, shouldn't be confused with an unconditional relationship, right? And I
mhm,
think that's another thing that we kind of get mixed up. Like, just because I'm not around you every day don't mean I don't love you. In fact,
most definitely.
distance could be the way that I show my love. Sometimes, you know, if you're in, like, specifically if you're in a toxic situation that's not good for either one of the people, right? I love
Mhm,
you, therefore I'm going to remove myself from this
mhm,
situation so that you can be happier, so that I can be happier.
mm,
Which is why it's so important to focus on self-love first, because you have to at
mhm,
least know what you want, how to provide it for yourself. And then the second step is to give other people that you say you love, the space to do the same thing,
most
right?
definitely.
So that I think with that mindset, it makes it a lot easier to say, hey, this is what I really want out of the one life I get to live. Like, if I try to bring this person along with me, not only is it going to hurt me and hold me back, but maybe that's not what this person wants for their life either.
Mhm,
Maybe they like doing what they're doing, right? And because I love that person, I'm gonna let them do them, and I'm gonna do me, and we link up when we link up.
most definitely. Most and I feel like that's a challenging thought for people, including myself, of absence. Like absence is being love.
Mhm,
But like it's so necessary because so many times do we stay around the people who are bringing us down and are keeping us in the environment we don't want to be in, and we try
mhm.
to save everybody, and like you can't do that because
Yeah,
you're gonna die in the process.
yeah, and that's not love. If you can't be a good you, then you can't even serve the people, right? So you trying
Mhm,
to stick around, you trying to stay in your hometown because my family, my uncle, my this, my that. But meanwhile, if you were to leave your hometown or whatever the case may be, if you were to separate, you have way more capability and advantage and opportunity to do more for yourself to then be able to give back to people. I felt like when I started, my business, my number one thing was to help the people that were closest to me, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
right?
For
I don't
sure.
even know anybody outside that circle.
Yeah.
Thing is, the people that are closest to you don't see you in that light. They don't come to you. They don't associate you with enlightenment, empowerment, business success, and all that stuff. So I realized early on that, hey, I might have to go all the way around the world just to come back to the people that matter to me the most.
Mm.
I might have to help every other single person before they even realize and recognize that, I had something to offer. So I
Mm-hmm.
said, okay, that's what I'm gonna do. And so many people, especially newer entrepreneurs, they're like, oh, you don't support me, you don't support my business, you don't do this, you don't do that. Meanwhile, your friends and family might not be your target audience. They might not need
Exactly.
or want what you have to offer. So go ahead and serve the people that actually want it and are willing to
Mm-hmm.
compensate you for that. And hey, if they come around and say, hey, I see what you've been doing, you wrote this book, you did this, you did that, or whatever, let me tap in with you. Okay, but let them come to you. Don't
Mm-hmm.
guilt trip people. And I see so many people doing it, and I think it's just because of that mindset that needs to be shifted in that area.
Mm-hmm. And people also, I feel like people also feel like because you know me, you're obligated to like what I'm doing, and that's
Oh,
not the case.
that's a fact.
And like, I'd much rather you be real with me and tell me you don't like it, and be real with me and tell me what you feel is wrong, to be a yes man and just keep me on this journey in this fairy tale where I'm living it.
Yeah. And people that are close to you that can actually touch you, they want to like patronize your business like they're doing you a favor
Mm-hmm.
too, and me personally, I don't really like that. Like, you don't need to. I don't need support just for the sake of
Yeah.
support. I'm here to help. I'm here to actually make an impact. If you don't think that I'm going to make an impact, don't even bother. Like, it's cool. It's
Mm-hmm.
cool. And I think us as entrepreneurs need to have that mindset to take responsibility for, the level of impact that we're making, or the amount of people that we can help, the amount of people that we actually make sales to, instead of blaming the customer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or blaming the potential client because you didn't sign up. No, like, if I can't convey the value of what I offer and it doesn't click with you, it doesn't resonate with you, that's on me. It's
Mm-hmm.
all good. It'll make me a better person.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
I also say for people not to get caught up in people not in the people who don't fuck with your stuff. Cause like that's just like for music too. Like not everybody like Drake. That don't mean Drake's a bad artist.
Right.
Not everybody want to watch LeBron play. Does not mean LeBron's a bad basketball player. You know what I'm saying? So that
Right.
people also put their value with how like a certain select people view them, and I'm like, dog, you got it backwards. Nah,
Is more so about how you view you than
exactly.
anything. Right.
Very true. I wanted to touch on discipline. I like your view on discipline. When you talking about discipline's freedom. I've never heard anybody say that. That is crazy. Cause I always be hearing it. Like it's always viewed as like dink, 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 nail. You know what I mean? Hammer
Right.
and nail. But like what
Mhm.
you're saying it's not about being a robot, it's about being a conductor.
Yeah.
And I wanted you to explain to people a little bit about that.
Oh man. Yeah, man. So discipline being freedom, that was a big mindset shift for me. I know growing up, and a lot of us, a lot of people that look like me
Yeah.
growing up, like, I'm disciplining my kids. That's a punishment
Mm-hmm.
right there, But I can honestly say, like, we look at it as, okay, discipline. When I work with somebody, it's always discipline is something that I need. It's not ever something that I have, right? And building discipline feels like depriving myself of the things that I want. But really, it's just saying no to the things that I kind of want right now for the things that I want the most eventually, right? And when that shift happens, right, and you start practicing and it becomes easier and easier and it becomes habitual, you realize that because I was disciplined, I'm now 10 steps ahead of the game. I'm not paycheck to paycheck, right? I
Yeah.
have a bank account, I have money stacked,
Mm-hmm.
because I was disciplined, because I made those decisions early on, and it became systematized to where I'm not even thinking about this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I fall off the horse sometimes. I'm not going to say that I'm perfect with discipline, but when I am disciplined, it's not a willpower thing. And I think that's where a lot of people get it confused. That's where I got it confused for sure. But right now, I'm waking up at 6 o'clock on the dot, popping up. Not even a thought of going back to sleep is popping in
Mm-hmm.
my head. Yes, I'm tired, but I'm not thinking about going to sleep because I have a system for where, my phone alarm goes off. I get up to go turn it off. I have to. Then I
Mm-hmm.
have another alarm that's in the bathroom right there before I could
Yeah.
even get back to the bed and go in the bathroom. You feel me?
I know that
So I
alarm
don't
make you mad more some mornings.
exactly. So it's
Yeah.
like, well, I'm not gonna lay in the bed and let the alarm go off. And I set the alarm before I was tired, before I was in the situation, because I'm working on a system,
Mm-hmm.
not just a habit. Right. So now I go to the alarm, it's already in the bathroom. I know what's gonna wake me up. Honestly speaking, it's scrolling. It's
Mm-hmm.
that blue light that we use the blue light at night when we're supposed to be going to sleep. I use it to wake me up.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll stay in the bathroom. The toilet be closed, but I'll sit on the toilet and then just open my phone because I know that blue light is gonna wake me up. So
Mm-hmm.
15 minutes in, I'm wide awake. I'm ready to put my clothes on and go for my run.
Mm-hmm.
All of this happens, bro, and it's been such a struggle because a lot of us, when it comes to discipline, we rely on willpower instead of habits and systems. Before I know it, I'm already done with my run. I come back in the house before 7 o'clock. I already feel like a success. The day didn't even start yet, bro. The sun
Mm-hmm.
just rose. So I think that's helpful to stop thinking about discipline as something that you need to force. Instead, pay attention to what you already doing. Pay attention to what you're likely to do in a certain situation. Make the things that you don't want to do, the distractions, make them inconvenient. You're saying like your
Mm-hmm.
phone. I know I'm not the only one that like to sit up in the bed and scroll through my phone. Put that thing on the counter somewhere far,
Yeah.
like where you have to get up to go get it. Make it inconvenient. And then the things that you do want to do, the things that you do need to do, make those things convenient as possible. Make them right there. The
Mm-hmm.
easiest thing to do should be the thing that you need and want to do the most.
Most
And
definitely.
then before you know it, you disciplined.
Yeah.
Boom.
Most definitely.
For
Most
sure.
definitely. I feel like, yeah, I agree with that. I feel like people make it too hard on themselves. Like,
Yeah.
but I feel like that's what we designed to do. Like, we design. I feel like people, like how humans are designed. We're designed to think that harder means better, and
Yeah.
that's not true. That is not. That those do not correlate like that.
Right. Right. Harder does not mean better.
Most definitely. Most definitely. I also want to talk about perfection. You talking about perfection a little bit and
Hmm.
perfectionism and being flexible and being able to roll with the punches
Hmm.
and come from somebody who, when my plan is off, I'm like, okay, hold on, like now the world's shaking a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, what would you say to people who struggle with that?
Get excited.
Mm,
Yeah, get excited, man. Because the world is ever changing. And I love the order of the question because it's coming right after discipline, structure,
mm,
routine, repetitiveness. And now we get to talk about, well, what happens when it doesn't go your way?
mm,
It's called grace. Give yourself grace, man, because like I was talking about with the job, the more you resist it, the more it will persist.
mm,
So the more you resist the fact that you're not perfect, or the more you resist the fact that everything ain't gonna go your way, the more energy you're allocating to something that's not gonna produce for you. So you
mm,
get to one, think ahead and plan a system for sure. But the second that it doesn't go exactly to your liking, all you do instead of beating yourself up about it is look
mm,
at it, look at what went wrong, what you can do better next time, and move forward without the guilt, without the shame, without the regret. All of that stuff is going to hold you back. So
mm,
you got to be able to recognize that when it happens, because a lot of this mindset stuff happens in the blink of an eye. Before you even think about it, it's already done. This is subconscious,
yeah.
right? So to be aware of it and to realize that it's a practice. This is not something that you just gonna realize and then just change.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but just the simple awareness of it does so much for you to then be to start training yourself to get on the right path. So the answer is, when you're not perfect, is just to celebrate that. Get excited. I'm
Most
human.
definitely. Yeah.
Get, if it was easy, it wouldn't be worth it. If I wasn't a project, then what are we doing? Like, if I could just up and be perfect one day, then I'll already be a millionaire. And it'd be like, what's the point?
Most definitely.
Yeah. I know a lot of us just like, yo, I'd rather it be that way, but it's not that way though.
No, for
So,
sure. For sure. For sure.
I don't care about the point. I don't need it to be a point. I just need the money.
Yeah, on me. I just
I
need the
get it.
millions. I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah, but it ain't that way. So whatever,
We
bro.
gotta
Like
go
you
through
go.
something to get it.
Right,
You know what
right.
I mean? That's what make it valuable though.
Facts.
'Cause I feel like when you and that's why also I tell people to like embrace the struggle. Cause like that's what make what you want valuable. You know what I mean? If it's all right there, it's like
Right.
playing a video game. When you get everything unlocked in the video game, you don't want to play the game no more. Like you
Exactly.
get bored. Like you don't want to do it.
Exactly. Exactly. It become pointless.
Mm-hmm.
And what we need to look at is that it's not that we working hard to get the thing that we want, right? We
Mm-hmm.
really working hard to become the person that has the thing. It's a slight thing, but it's a big shift because I'm not focused on the material, the external. That's this part that I can't control. The internal and noticing how I change as a person, that's what's really important, because that's going to dictate how you show up.
Most definitely.
And that's going to determine, then after that, that's going to determine what results you're getting.
Most definitely.
Yes, indeed.
And also say, like you were saying, to embark in the unknown and to take that step. And I feel like people struggle with that. And and, and before you can do all these things, you have to be willing to one just take that first step. And I feel like that's what people get stuck with before all this stuff even becomes about. Because like how I see myself and people around me, like I feel like we tend to get stuck in the what if, and just trying to plan everything out perfect to make sure this is gonna happen right. But like you were saying, be excited with the mistakes. They're gonna happen. So you
Yeah.
might as well just take a step, bro.
Right.
Cause like regardless, the water's gonna be cold, bro. Like it's not gonna change.
Yes, indeed. But what will change is you, and that's what's most important. Everybody want to change the world and not change themselves, or not let the world change them. You got to get out into the world, let it beat you up a little bit, because you're gonna learn. That's why when I said those two words, that comes from my mentor. I
Mm-hmm.
was I was working for him, working with him, and I'm like, hey, Chev, man, I'm trying to get to the office right now, but my car done broke down.
Yeah.
All my tires is flat, blah, 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 this, that, and other. I can't make it. I don't know what I'm gonna do. And I'm just using that as an example, but like anything that would come up, what he would respond to me with, get excited.
Yeah.
Anytime you're facing a challenge, get excited. And in the moment, I'm gonna be honest, I hated that.
Yeah.
I hated that. Like, what do you mean get excited, bro? I'm on the side of the road. Like, come on,
Yeah.
man. I need help. But over time, right, it trained me to realize that when I'm up against a challenge, that's game time. That's when it really matters. When you go
Most
to the
definitely.
gym, we're like, okay, I'm gonna lift these weights, and as long as it's easy, it counts. But really, the growth doesn't happen until you're maxing out, until you don't
Mm-hmm.
have nothing left in your tank, and you push the extra 2-3 reps.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the growth really happens. That's when you should get excited. When things are easy, okay, it's easy to be excited. But when things are challenging, that's when you're going to show yourself who you truly are and what
Mm-hmm.
you're truly capable of. And when you get through those challenges, you're going to look back and be like, I'm not that same person I was before the challenge. So there's a lot to get excited about when it comes to those challenges. But a lot of us would rather avoid them than to
Mm-hmm.
go through them. And I'm not saying that you should be stupid and reckless and then just
Yeah.
go into problems and issues that you can avoid easily. But if you don't see any way around it, you got to go through it, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you can't get over it, around it, or under it, you got to go through it and grow through it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot. You talked a little bit about uh, fear of the unknown, and I think that I don't know that we can help uh being a little apprehensive
Mm-hmm.
or resistant to something that we're not aware of, because quite honestly it can go either which way.
And I feel like that's just
I,
human nature as well.
right, I think that the bigger problem is that we're not afraid of the unknown as much as we're afraid of what we project into it, right?
Mm.
When we talk about the what if, We're talking about what if it goes wrong. But what we don't
That's
realize is
true.
that in the unknown, what if it goes right exists there too. So the problem is that we're focusing on what if it goes wrong
Mm.
instead of what if it goes right.
Mm.
You know,
So you said people just we get so focused on just the negative and this the possibility of this thing going south.
right?
Most
Because we
definitely.
want to protect ourselves.
It's
That's
the
human nature. Yeah,
it's the fear. Like, you know,
right.
nobody wants to get burned.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like not knowing if we're gonna get burned or not, it's like our body's like, are we stupid right now? We don't
yeah,
like
yeah.
what we doing, bro. Like,
Hey,
chill.
I'm here to tell you, be stupid. If that's the
Yeah,
case, run to the fire. Run to the
most
fire.
definitely. And I feel like it's learning to be, and that's what I'm trying to do right now is learning to be comfortable and uncomfortable. And
Right.
like, it's like you learn to sit in that because like that's where you're gonna get the most value. That's when you're gonna learn the most about yourself.
Yeah.
Ain't no stories made about people who just live good times. Like that's just not
Yeah.
what it. That's just
And
not what stories are made from.
that's why my stupid self out when I was in Idaho, I was taking cold showers every morning. That was stupid. But
Yeah,
it's all about getting uncomfortable,
most definitely.
getting comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Hmm.
Hated it. It's 6 minutes every single morning. I'll be blasting this like club music or whatever, just anything to get my mind off it. But I did it. I did. I wouldn't do it now. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, you see,
I'm
I'm
not doing
past
it
them
no more.
days.
But it did give me a train. It did kind of break me out of this. Oh, I need to be comfortable, warm, and cozy, and all the
Hmm.
time. Like, no, like, I get up now and it's 42 degrees outside, 35 sometimes. But
Hmm.
you know, I I'm better because I do it every morning.
Most
You know,
definitely. Most definitely. And I feel like also just sitting in it long enough, people can get out of it to like right before they can see the results and they can see the growth.
that's the biggest heartbreak right there.
Most definitely.
Yeah,
And then you will
so
never
close.
know.
Yeah, so close, man. But I think maybe it just so much to talk about around that. It's
Hmm.
like if your heart ain't in it, then I could see. When it get to a certain point, it's easy to give up. But when it come to coaching, like it's not only my business, not only my baby, like one of my
Hmm.
children, it's also who I am. It's integrated into my identity. Like I've seen what it looks like to help somebody go from A to Z. I
Hmm.
can't unsee that. You know what I'm saying? So this is it doesn't even feel like I have a choice to
Hmm.
give up at this point. But it all came from a point in my life where I was like, okay, I'm no longer doing anything for money that's not aligned with my passion and purpose. And I had no clue what I was going to do next. But I knew that a decision needed to be made, a declaration needed to be made to myself. And I made it. And once you do that, I heard Will Smith talk at one time. He was like, once you make a decision, the universe just moves around you to accommodate that, and it just lined up. First thing I did was hire a coach, and it was just history from there.
Mm. When in your life did you hit that spot where you're like, okay, like we gonna turn up now. Like
Oh, this
it's
was
time to grow.
2019,
Mm.
right? So it's I've already lived a good amount of life.
Hmm.
I don't even remember what year. I probably wrote my book. I finished my book the next year.
Okay.
But I already knew that I had the ability to coach because back in 2014, when I was leaving college, I had jumped into entrepreneurship with both feet, knew a little bit about what it's going to take to be an entrepreneur, but did
Mm.
not fully understand that you can't be a successful entrepreneur with an employee mindset. Learned that the hard way.
Oh yeah.
Learned that the hard way. But I found myself in my first business was a sales organization where people would come in as my employees, right? And they wouldn't be super confident. They never did sales before or anything like
Mm.
that. But I needed them to be successful. So I found out that I had an ability to find people's strengths, to seek
Mm.
them out, and to give them back in a way that felt authentic, in a way that they could actually consume it and integrate it into like how they were showing up. They would go into the store, they would find a friend, they would have a bunch of fun, they would sign people up, they would make a bunch of money. And I'm like, what is better than that? Like somebody
Yeah.
that feels good about themselves, and because they feel good about themselves, they can make more money and help people.
That's a
What's better than
win-win.
that?
That's a win-win.
Right.
It's wins all
win
around
win
the
win
board.
win. Like
Yeah.
everybody's winning 3 times over. But I wasn't in the mindset of actually having a business myself around that just yet. I
Mm-hmm.
still thought that I needed a job for this, for that. I need this, I needed that. And several years after I knew I had this ability, after I, left my first, business because I was super depressed, I
Yeah.
rebuilt myself first. I was obviously my first client. And it just got to a point where it's like, you have this ability, you're passionate about it, you can help people. Why aren't you? And then
Mm-hmm.
it was the only answer to that question was, well, you didn't decide to.
Mm-hmm.
Made the decision, bro. Never look
Boom.
back.
Boom. Change his life for good right there.
Yep.
Right there.
Because I'm a for real, at that time I was doing brand ambassador work, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was great, because as a brand ambassador, all you do is put on a t-shirt, AT&T, Verizon, McDonald's, whoever it was, and you will work at these different events. All you're doing is handing out free swag,
Mm.
t-shirts, little gifts and that or whatever. And I was hanging out with celebrities and going to this event and that
Okay.
event and doing all this and that. And it wasn't like a set schedule or anything. They would just blast out an email saying, "Hey, who's available for this event? Oh, I'm on it. Blah, 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 apply." And then you could really just make your own schedule. I'm like, what's better than this? I could do this anywhere in the country.
Sure.
It's actually what helped me move from Jersey to Cali because I didn't have to worry about getting a job. I knew that in LA they was going to have events.
Mm-hmm.
So boom, but it all changed. I was having this conversation with one of like the assistant managers, and I don't remember what we was talking about, but I remember he said, "Hey man, this is my 10th year doing this event." It was the BET Awards actually, so it was a dope event. But
Okay.
he said, "This is my 10th year." I said, "Oh no, baby. Oh no,
This
what
for
are you
10
doing?"
years.
Like, it's good, it's cool, it's fun. It ain't that fun. It ain't
Yeah.
10 years fun. I was like,
Oh, me.
I need to get out of this. But honestly speaking, I felt like, okay, I'm gonna make this decision. But if worst come to worst, I can always just pick up a gig. I could always just get a job or whatever.
Mhm.
Like, I'm not gonna be homeless.
Yeah.
I'm saying, but I am gonna start focusing on what I actually want to do in my life. And
Mhm.
it's probably the best decision I ever made.
Most definitely. And like
Mhm.
over here in the Midwest, for us, it's like people be doing in the factory for like 20, 25, 30 years. That's what people get stuck in over here is the factory. And but like again, it's just like why not go for your dreams? At the end of the day, you live once. And so like, and if it don't work, like you can always go back to that root, whatever you was doing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, why
Especially
not?
if you're young,
Yeah.
especially if you ain't got no kids.
Oh me.
No wife, no kids, you
Oh
young,
me.
20s,
Jump it.
1000%. Do
Jump it.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like
Easily.
I feel like my biggest fear is living a life with regrets and doubt and sitting there when I'm 85 in like the chair and I can't do nothing. And I'm like, wow, I wish I would done this, and this, and this. That's where so
Right.
many people end up. I swear. So many people end
Right.
up in that spot.
The longer you wait, the more obligation that you have, bro. And
Mm-hmm.
obligation kills inspiration. It
Mm.
might give you motivation. I ain't gonna lie. It'll
Yeah.
get you up and get you to go to the factory. But you don't want to live by
Yeah.
motivation. And that's a new idea that I actually just had. Like everybody's trying to get motivated, motivational speakers and all this stuff. They want to force themselves to do something, but they don't realize that, hey, if you get inspired by something, if you want to create something with your life, you know, you don't have to use your willpower.
Yeah.
You'll say you want to do it. You don't
Mm-hmm.
need to find motivation. You are just motivated. So I think that it's better to look for inspiration over motivation
Mm.
because obligation can motivate you, but inspiration will transform you.
Mm.
It'll change who you are.
Mm.
Yo, clip that and send that to me right now, bro.
Oh
Because that's
me,
that's
that's heat. That's
that
heat.
feel me.
That's a gem. Hey, that'll definitely be on
You feel me
TikTok,
like that?
everything. Ooh, that's
I'm
heat.
telling you,
That is heat. But I feel like we get addicted to motivation, like a motherfucker. We get
right?
addicted to it, especially like just like nowadays with reels and TikToks and everything. That's all you see. So people are like, I'm not motivated today to go to the gym, so I'm not going to the gym.
Yeah,
Like,
nah.
man,
You
motivation is
gon'
just a help.
you're going for the wrong reasons. I think if that's the case, if you have to force yourself to do it, you don't got the right reasons to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I work out because I like how it makes me feel, not just how it's gonna make me look, not just because of health benefits, but
Mm-hmm.
because every time I do it, I'm telling myself who I am. I'm dedicated, I'm committed. And then not only that, I feel more clear-minded. I get my day
Mm-hmm.
started earlier. I'm more productive. All of that stuff is communicated from me to me by taking that action.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to have the biggest muscles or nothing like that, but if I
Yeah.
can wake up early and do something that most people can't find their way to do, I'm ahead of the game. And
Most
it's
definitely.
not really about being ahead of other people, but just in general, I was just talking to my wife, like, I hate the idea of people being, you know, one or two, three, four, 5 steps behind, but also only one or two steps ahead. I'm trying to be 10, 15 steps ahead of
Yeah.
that, that paycheck, the where I need some money. I
Mm-hmm.
want money and I want to keep it that way.
No, most
I want to
definitely.
I want to stay in a space of these are things that are nice to have. These are things that I want. These are things that I'm okay. These are not
Mhm.
things that I need. 'Cause I look at need as desperatism. When you
Yeah.
when you desperate for something, you
You gonna
make
do
desperate decisions.
anything. You gonna
Any
do
and everything.
anything for it.
Right. And it doesn't matter whether it's best. It doesn't matter if it's a healthy food. It doesn't matter. It could be drugs, bro. Like depending on how
Mm-hmm.
desperate you are, it could be anything. But the point is, when you're desperate, you're out of control.
Mm.
So it's
Very
better to
true.
be proactive, to be inspired, to, do things when you don't have to, do things before you have to do it, you
Mm.
know. And for
Almost
that, I
definitely.
think you just need different reasons. You don't need motivation. You just need a better relationship with your priorities.
Mm-hmm. And so I feel like with what you're saying, I feel like there's no real reason for people to be lazy because I feel like you have everybody is their own person. Everybody has their own field. Everybody has their own like lane of what they like, what they can do very well. And so I feel like it's just finding that and rolling in your own
Yeah.
side.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it all points back to self-exploration. Like the
Mm-hmm.
deeper you can go within self, the more you learn about actually everything around you. Everybody is looking to the world for
Yeah.
the world to tell you what the world is, but the whole world really is inside of you. If you can sit down and meditate for
Mm-hmm.
20 minutes for a week, you'll see that what I'm telling you ain't no lie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the world is the inside out, not the outside in.
Mm. Oh. Ooh. Ooh.
Facts.
Ooh, that's something too.
You feel
Okay.
me? Clip it.
Okay on me. Clip that right now. That's so true though, because like at the end of the day, everything that happens in the world is based off of how people are feeling inside.
Right.
Like it's just what that's very true.
Perspective. Yeah,
It's very
perspective.
true.
It's just a large movie that we're all projecting on in one time,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And
Mm.
and I see a lot of people and they kind of a lot of people they take it to an extent where it does get woo woo. And
Yeah.
I used to hate that when I started woo woo. This it's just different than what you grew up with. It's not woo woo, it's real. But there
Mm-hmm.
is a difference between somebody that's just like, oh yeah, just manifest everything in your life
Yeah,
and
I don't
just
like people like
it's
that.
like yeah, but it's like there's a balance. Like I like to I guess what I could say, hopefully not to offend a lot of my friends because we're connected, everywhere. But when you get too much on the spiritual side, you lose the scientific psychology side because things like auto suggestion and affirmations work for a real tangible psychological reason
Mm-hmm.
where a lot of people use manifestation and these ideas as something that's just like if you do this then magically this happens and
Yeah.
they skip over the reticular activation system, the RAS, a real part
Mm-hmm.
of your brain that looks for things that it thinks is important based on the feedback you give yourself. Like
Mm.
it's real reasons why this stuff works. We don't have to resort
Mm-hmm.
to just meditate and then that turns off a lot of religious people, because they feel like meditation is against their spiritual practices, when really it's more psychological
Most definitely.
than it is spiritual. Like,
Mm-hmm.
just do it, bro. Like, get in touch with self.
Like we just open it on me, on me.
Yeah, you feel me?
And I feel like it goes on both spectrums. Like you can go too far to the left, and you can be just all work, 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 and then you
Right,
just burn. And that's where I end up myself on. I just burn, burn
right.
myself out. But you also get too far on that side, like you were saying. So I feel like it's coming to a middle and getting that middle, good, nice little blend. How what
Yeah,
works best for you? You know what I'm saying? And find a little flow state.
yeah. Flow state. That's the word of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Finding
On
that flow.
me, flow
When it
state.
and I think that's what we were talking about earlier, because it's like those people that are looking for motivation, they're not relying on flow, they're relying on willpower, and willpower
Mm-hmm.
is a limited resource. If you got to force yourself to do 3 things in the morning that you don't want to do, you could burn out all of your willpower
Oh, for sure,
before the day even start.
for sure.
Now the whole day is an uphill battle.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nah, man.
It's something that I've started viewing like myself as is like a battery, and I feel like people also think that they unlimited. And like,
Mhm.
bro, like you only got so much. So like, let's say I get in a little argument in the morning with my
Yeah,
girl. Doo doo doo. All right, now this 15% of my battery's gone.
yeah,
Oh, now this got me mad. And I'm honking as I'm doing the road. Now it's 15. You know what I
right.
mean? And like by the time like the day even starts and this really stuff's really going down, I'm at 20%,
Done.
30%.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's protecting the energy.
Before you know it, you overdrawn. Your energetic bank account overdrawn.
On
You
me.
don't got no
We in
patience.
fees, man.
Yeah. Next person that look at you wrong,
On
you
me.
squaring up.
You can get it right
Yeah.
now. Anybody can
Say
get it.
left. Yeah. It's like, what did I do? What did I do?
On me. Chill, bro.
What did I do? Chill out, relax. Yo, I ain't even. I was just joking, bro. Chill
On
out.
me. I'm tight.
You know what I'm saying? And that's crazy because we talking about somebody else, but we ain't even looking at what we actually want to create for ourselves. So we ready to fight somebody else. We are definitely not in the mindset of creating more than the bare minimum in our own lives. This is
Almost definitely.
just energy management, bro. We got to
Mm-hmm.
look at our energy like it's money. Like you in that video you was talking about. We need to learn how to invest our energy in the things that are going to generate energy back for us, like
Mm-hmm.
relationships that we put time and energy into, but that person also uplifts you. You know what I'm saying? That
Mm-hmm.
person is a safe space for you. That person is an asset to you, instead of chasing down this person, trying to make this person love you the way you want to be loved because you think you deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you chasing somebody else for the love you deserve, I know off the bat you're not giving yourself the love that you deserve,
Mm-hmm.
right? Exercising is another thing. Like I said, like, yes, it takes energy, it takes time, but you get to
Mm-hmm.
feel accomplished. You get to feel clear-minded. You get to be ahead of the game every day. Like, that is an asset to you. We got to look at our energy like money, and we putting it in the stock market, and we want our portfolios to grow.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that we could take like anybody, any manager, right, willing to hire you. You ready to take that job,
Yeah.
right? But you're not looking at how much you're gonna get paid, but you're not looking at the type of energy that you're gonna have to put out. You're not looking at the type of environment you got to surround yourself with, the
Mm-hmm.
type of people you got to be surrounded with at that job. And I think that that's a problem in capitalism. Like, it come down to the money, but we're not looking at our
Mm-hmm.
most valuable assets. It's our attention, our energy, and our time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm
We
saying?
don't, we
Money
don't look
is
at
up there,
dollar
but
signs.
money is a product of what we do with the first
Mm-hmm.
three. We completely skip over the first three and just like, give me $15
Yeah.
for this hour.
Give me fifteen
But you're
dollars. I'm willing to
wilding.
go crazy for it. Like, what's
Yeah,
up?
you're wilding.
Like on me.
Yeah,
And I,
yeah,
that I feel like also that's a big Western culture thing too, as well. As we big on like just straight dollar signs. Fuck your feelings, dollar
right.
signs. That's it. But then like, okay, why do we have such a high, what I mean, suicide rate? Why do we have such a high, man? Because you know what I mean. Because obviously we have priorities mixed up,
Right.
and like I feel like Floyd Mayweather told me, he said health is wealth, and he was definitely talking about the physical health because boxers they're taking beatings over there, but
Yeah.
like, but the mental health too, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
if you're not mentally sound, how do you expect to do great things? How do you expect to do all these big things when you are not locked in with your own, you're not solid? You
Right.
know what I mean?
You can't create from a place like that, bro. Like we're creators, but we put ourselves in positions not due to our own fault, but it is definitely our responsibility to where we don't even have. I start to feel like just having 20 minutes to sit in silence is a luxury
Mm.
for a lot of people. And
Oh,
it baffles me, like the world that we live in is so easy to tap into this and tap into that and be distracted by this and be distracted by that. It's so good that it's distracting us from the person that we spend the most time with. I
so
can't
true.
separate myself from myself if I wanted to,
So
but we
true.
live in a system that can distract me from me,
Mm-hmm.
as if the TV is a part of me, as if the phone is more close to me than I am. That's
Mm.
so crazy.
Mm.
But realizing that, just be like, nah, bro, let me separate from some of this stuff
Yeah.
and sit in the mirror, like get a pen and a paper and start jotting down my thoughts and my feelings, spending time with myself.
Yeah. Yeah, that's deep too. And there's so many parts. That's such a complex thing. There's so many parts to that as well. And that's a crazy thought because from you coming from Brooklyn and
Yeah,
Jersey and Cali, like
yeah,
these are not quiet little towns where you know what I mean, where you're hearing the birds chirping. So
right.
like this is a crazy thought. Like, have you always had that mentality? Like, okay, I need to like step aside, just need to just take a break from the world.
Well, I always no, I had to learn that,
Mm-hmm.
but I can say that I've always been analytical,
Mm.
right? I've always been curious about the way I think, why I do things, and then that grew into, well, why do other people do things, And then I went to school for marketing, so that's this basically the study of what makes people buy certain things. So it's all
Mm-hmm.
related, but a big part for me that I wrote about in the book was my father would tell me specifically, and I don't know if anybody resonates with this, but he'd tell me specifically not to do something.
Yeah.
I do it anyway, right?
Yeah.
And then when you get in trouble for it, they're like, "Why'd you do that? Why'd you do that?" And it was always like, "I don't know, bro. I don't know. I'm too
Yeah.
young to know.
Yeah.
I'm not self-aware at that level." But I was definitely getting punished for it. I was definitely getting yelled at, and I was definitely in some uncomfortable situations because
Mm-hmm.
of the things that I was doing. So I think at a very early age, it was super important for me to understand why I was doing the things that I was
Yeah.
doing so that I can correct it. Because if I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't, then I felt in my 7-year-old mind that I'm just destined to keep doing fuck shit and keep getting punished for it,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just out of control, and I
Most
was,
definitely.
and that was the first time that I was just like so depressed. Like I was contemplating suicide at like 7, but that's
Mm.
just because I didn't understand myself. I felt like, there's nothing that I can do to stop getting my ass whooped.
Yeah.
And my father wasn't abusive or nothing like that. I'm not trying to say
Mm-hmm.
that, but stop getting disciplined for things that I didn't even understand why I did it in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And that grew into, okay, a passion for psychology and meditation and working out and all this other good stuff happened after that.
Mm. Just get an understanding of yourself,
Right,
understand who you are. Mm. And
right.
that's something that people. That's something that people go their whole lives out doing too. Like
You
people
talking that
die,
talk,
and
yeah.
like and and affect their kids like that. And that's why I say, and that's another reason why I'm working so hard to get my shit straight. Because now, especially and hold on, I'm about to go on like 3 different thoughts right in a second here. But hold on, I'm trying. Hold on, there. You
Let
losing the
them cook.
grips now. I'm losing the reins. But like I look like for me growing up, it was like okay, like you said, the analyticalness, and it was like uh being a young black male with anger issues. It's like yo, you about to go to jail in your future, dog. You about to either go to
Right,
jail, prison, or you gonna get shot. One like you gonna die. Like that's
right,
your results, bro. And like so I learned that from a young age. And it's like, oh shoot, like I gotta but then it's like, why am I even acting like this? Why am I even being like this? And then it's not understanding yourself, it's not being aware of yourself. But also I feel like we also tend to blame ourselves for everything, how we act, but also when I feel like when you're a child, like it's the people around you as well. It's not just you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Who's
Yeah.
causing you to be like that?
Right.
Cause like
Yeah.
all my boys out there, all my dogs out there with anger issues, like I just want to say, like it's not necessarily just your fault for like snapping, for getting tempered. Like, you know what I mean? Like you was bred and brought up in that way to like make you the way you is. You know what I mean?
Right. And I think that it's a shame, bro, because a lot of the times we snap and we don't snap until we just can't hold it in any longer, bro. And we train to suppress our emotions and our feelings as if we're not
Mm-hmm.
humans with valid emotions. Like
Mm-hmm.
emotions, they are usually associated with femininity, and unfortunately femininity is also associated with weakness, which I don't
Mm-hmm.
know why. I mean, I guess women are typically physically weaker than men, and women are associated with femininity.
Mm-hmm.
But feminine energy itself and masculine energy doesn't have a strength or weakness aspect to it. It's just energy,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's just the energy of giving versus receiving,
Mm-hmm.
essentially, right? And so, us as little boys feeling a thing, be a man, you're a boy, boys don't cry, things
Straight
like
up.
that, it sets us up to have a toxic relationship with ourselves, a part of us that not single one of us can deny,
Mm-hmm.
but we're denying parts of ourselves. And then when it just gets too much to handle, it will manifest in a negative way. It's gonna come out either
Mm-hmm.
way. Like, I think that's what we need to realize, is that these emotions that we're trying to suppress, they're gonna come out one way or another.
Most
The
definitely.
choice is, do you want to be able to express your emotions in a healthy way, a mature way, a responsible way that helps you towards your goals? Or do you want your emotions to come out in a way that destroys your life?
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think that's what we need to realize. But it, like you said, is absolutely right. This isn't just a way of life that we decided to live. It's
Mm-hmm.
passed down from our parents that don't have, or our aunts, uncles, or whatever adults we have around us that don't have that emotional intelligence. They don't have that relationships with their emotions, which
Mm-hmm.
is why I'm really excited that mental health is not as much of a taboo
Yeah.
topic as it was in our community, because we get to sit up across from each other and say, hey man, I'll be feeling away too, bro,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
Yeah.
cool. It's
Mm-hmm.
cool. Two tears in a bucket, move on, bro. Like,
Yeah. 100.
feelings are meant to be expressed, not
Mm-hmm.
suppressed. And that's another thing. Like, I see people, especially when it comes to people you love, right? And they're emotional, they might be crying or something like that. And your first instinct is to go in, oh, don't cry, don't do this, don't do that. It's gonna
Mm-hmm.
be all right. But mine is, it's kind of like, give that person space to feel what they're gonna feel, to say whatever they're gonna say without trying to intellectualize it, and
Yeah.
without trying to add your logic, like, oh, you shouldn't feel this way because the facts are blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to realize that facts and emotions don't mix.
Mm.
Saying, like, we need
Most
to be
definitely.
able to, we need the space to express the emotions freely without judgment,
Mm.
right? First. And then when you get to a certain place energetically, then we could talk about, okay, what is actually happening? What can we do to move forward? Too many
Mm.
people try to skip over the feelings part, especially with men, especially with black men,
Mm.
right?
Oh yeah, I was just about to touch on that. I feel like
Yeah.
it's a stigma in our communities, especially for black men, to just, dog. You gotta keep it G, and you gotta just hold it together on Brody. Like, just
Nah, man.
and like, man,
So,
like it's cool, but like at the end of the day, everybody who's saying that, everybody who's saying keep it G, you still crying when it's dark outside. I promise you, still crying in that bedroom.
right.
You still crying, just like everybody else is, dog. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because the end
Yeah.
of the day,
Nah.
like everybody, like regardless if like you show it or not, everybody cries, everybody gets sad, everybody gets in their feels, everybody, you know what I mean? It's just
Niggas
what we
need
is,
hugs
man.
too, bro.
That's what
Niggas
I
need hugs
mean. Like
too.
a nigga
Like,
need a hug too.
yeah.
Fuck, fuck.
That's a
Like
that's a brand. Hugs for niggas or something. I don't know. Hugs for niggas. You feel me?
on me
I
though.
feel glad. I feel privileged though, because I know it's actually, I was looking at it today. 57% of black children grow up without their